What's up, everyone? Just Jonathan here. In today's video, I'm going to help you become a master of persuasion in under 20 minutes with a code, a process, and just 3 rules. By the way, just in case you didn't know, I am the lead listing advisor of a top performing real estate team in all the country. We sell a home about every 14 hours. Right now, it is currently August the 8th, 2022. I also oversee our expansions into the different markets, and I'm the lead sales trainer here for our organization and also agents all across the country in multiple different markets. I don't say any of this to impress you. I just say this to provide some backstory, context, and credibility to actually who it is that you're listening to and why you should even care. Prior to this, in my quote former life that I'm still doing in some ways now, I was a pastor formerly for almost 2 decades. I helped lead and speak and move people at a church of over 4,000, and then I transitioned out of that. I built multiple nonprofits on the different college campuses, and then I went on to help plant a church in the Northern Virginia area. So this whole area of influence and persuasion and leadership is something that I've been honing for a very, very long time. How do you engage with people in such a way that you make their life better, but also how do you do it in such a way that fits, where people feel heard, understood, appreciated, listened to, seen, but then their life doesn't just stop with you doing that with people, but you actually move the needle for them in their lives so that the life story that they're writing actually gets better. And then how do you codify that, man? Like how do you put this into words that can be replicable? There's so many amazing speakers, influencers, persuaders that do this, but they just can't teach you how to do it. Well, I'm hopefully working to change that here on this channel and with this video. And by the way, if you are a professional real estate advisor and you're wanting to know who the sponsor of this video is, just click on the links below. And what you can do if you want to, no pressure, but you can check out the Daily Smith letter that I provide. Better data equals better decisions. Bad data equals bad decisions. Most people just don't want to spend the time to read through hours worth of content and then curate that to get the best information, the best stories that are really moving the needle for clients who are trying to multiply their wealth through understanding where the market's moving and what to watch out for. Well, if you want to know what that is on a daily basis, all you got to do is just click the link. I do that for you and send out every day, Monday through Friday, a daily letter that gives you exactly that content. So if you think that'd be valuable, just click the link below. You can be a subscriber. You can be a subscriber for free, or for just the price of maybe 2 cups of coffee a month, you can become a paid member and get access to all the content as opposed to just the 1 letter per week. Now, let's go back to how you actually become a master persuader and influencer with just a code, a framework, and 3 rules. Let's go. I've got 4 kids. 3 are with me and 1 is with Jesus. And from the very beginning, when they could understand words, we talked to them about being a person who lives according to a code. This code, in full transparency, is a code that I derive from the Holy Scriptures, the Bible. It is a code that I see when people operate on, not only do they prosper in such a significant way, but they also enable other people to do as well. And when we first began, I anchored this in the Chronicles of Narnia and with King Loon, and then it was then in the Bible where they could understand it. But the code is very simple. It's love, lead, protect, and provide. Love, lead, protect, and provide. All of the teams that I've coached, the lacrosse teams and other teams, we've even rooted this into the culture. And we've talked about how and why it's so important to be this kind of person, that someone that shows up, that loves, that leads, that protects, and that provides. And anyone is around, once they know that they are with somebody who lives the code, there's a trust there, there's a relationship, there's a connection. But what do I mean by this? Well, obviously everybody understands what we mean by love. Love is a devotion. Love's a devotion that is shown through the expansion of someone's life and through that person experiencing a level of enjoyment, joy, happiness that they didn't know before. Their life gets bigger and their life gets better. And that happens through a radical commitment to enabling and helping that person do that very thing with whatever way it might be. But that's what love is. It's a devotion that's demonstrated through you helping someone's life expand and you helping someone's life grow in its overall enjoyment, joy, happiness, delight, etc. Well, what about lead? We understand what leadership is. Leadership is simply influence. It's enabling, helping, and leading someone, being in the front to go where they are, who they are, to where they want to be and who they want to be. And it's essentially helping someone bridge that gap that now you become the leader and now you have followers. Well, what about protecting and providing? We understand what this is, but protecting is just ensuring that people don't do the things that would hurt them or believe the things that would hurt them or say the things that would hurt them, right? That's what protection is. I'm protecting you from an undesirable outcome that you don't want. And then provision is the exact opposite. I am going to show up in such a way that I help you get or become or possess those things that you don't have now, but you won't have or you want to have, and those things that would help make your life better. You'd flourish in ways that you aren't right now. That is the code. It's the code that when you anchor yourself to, everybody knows and everybody anticipates you being a blessing and you bringing that gift, you being that gift, which is why so many people would want to be with you, hang around you, because you make their lives better. Be the kind of person that makes someone's life better, not worse. And this, my friends, gets into one of the main difficulties with this whole quote sales word. It's become a dirty word. It's become a curse word because, by the way, people have used sales to use people, right? Not use sales to help people. They haven't lived the code. What they've done is they've anchored their activity and who they are to something totally different than the person's best interest. What they've done is they've anchored what they're doing to their best interest, and now they've used the person to obtain their best interest, and now it's let their life getting worse, not better. But is there a way that we can essentially redeem sales? 100%. In fact, selling, as I understand it, is really a gift. It's something that you do for someone, not something that you do to someone. It's a transaction that's made that when that transaction actually happens or is executed, their life becomes better, not worse. In fact, just thinking about this, there's not a single thing that typically moves without a sale happening. I got married and I got sold, and that was a great deal, right? I am now on this team. I got sold, and that was a great deal. If you've got kids, you're involved in selling all day long. And if you are not good at persuasion and influence, bro, you're going to have a tough time. Everything in our lives begins with a sale. You're either being sold, as Mr. Uncle Grant Cardone tells us, or you're selling, right? It happens every time. But the key is, can you do it in an ethical way? Can you do it in such a way that makes somebody's life better? And can you do it in such a way that people actually want to be sold by you? Yes, yes, and yes. And the way you do this is, number one, you live the code. You lead, love, protect, provide. Number two, you engage in a process. What's this process? Well, it's a 4-step process. It's very simple, right? These end up being kind of like hangers that you can put the information into, and you can go through the sequence that's appropriate. Here, what's the sequence and what's the process? Here it is. It's love, it's know, it's speak, and it's do. Love, know, speak, do, in that order. What do I mean? Well, I just defined love before. What love means and what love looks like when it comes to a quote sales scenario is that you actually care enough about the person that you're going to try and essentially embody their life, see the world through the way they see it, feel the things that they feel, yet be separate from it, right? So that now you can understand their life in its totality. And here's how you know that you've done this well. You can explain their problems and their pain better than they can. And you can also do that with what they want, the desired outcomes. When you can do that, and people are like, that's it. And you said that better than I did. When you've done that, you know that you've loved well. And what you've essentially done is you've embodied that love, and you've been so compassionate that now you can see the world through their eyes. And now not only do they know you've understood them and you understand them, but now that you see the world through the eyes that they see, and you look at the context and know where they are, so now they can trust you. They can trust you with what you're about to say. So number one is love. It's to step into that person's life to, without attachment, become who they are, see what they see, feel what they feel, know what they know. So now you can make sense of where they are, who they are, where they've been, and where they want to go. And then you want to take the next step, which is no. This is very simple. The scripture says it like this: he who speaks before he hears, it is his folly and his shame. Meaning, if you talk before you listen, dude, you're a fool. James says it so clear, like, be slow to speak and quick to listen. Yet we don't do this. When you look at arguably the most influential person who's ever walked this planet, Jesus of Nazareth, what did he do when people asked him questions? Well, he returned it with a question. Good master, what must I do to inherit eternal life? What did Jesus say? Why do you call me good master? They're trying to corner Jesus with money. Hey, should we pay taxes to Caesar? What does Jesus say? Go get me a coin. Whose face is on it? Right? Jesus answers questions with questions, and then he usually tells a crazy story. But there's a point in this. There's a principle. And the principle is this: you persuade most effectively, not by telling, but by asking. Real persuasion comes through asking questions, and then, and only then, making statements. And the reason why this is true is because when you say something, it means something. But when I say something, it means everything. There's no single person, humanly speaking, on this planet that has more influence in your life than you. And the reason for that is there's no one that you listen to on this planet more than you. There's no lies you believe more than your own. There's no promises that you break more than the promises that you make to yourself. There's no one that you submit to. There's no one that you listen to. There's no one that you talk to more than what you do with yourself. Your self-talk, who you talk to, your conversation with you, is the single most influential person that you're going to speak to and have been speaking to for your entire life. So if that's the case, then wouldn't you want to engage with that person? Wouldn't you want to get the most influential person in that person's life, the true quote partner, and bring them on and essentially get them in the conversation? Of course you would. So the more you can do that through questions, the better. And so this is where the questions you ask, the way you ask it, the sequence you ask it is so important. But here it is, because once you get through these two processes, now it's time to speak, and then it's time to take action or to do. And here's why this is so important. Because if you speak before you understand, then you're going to be vulnerable to telling someone or encouraging someone to do something that isn't actually going to fit, because it doesn't really fit with the context. So love no, and then you want to earn the right to speak, because the questions and the information you just gathered now enables you to speak in not just an intelligent way, but an appropriate way and in a strategic and effective way. So you speak, this is where you present, this is where your presentation, your consultation piece comes in. How are you going to solve the problem? How are you going to help me get where I want to go? This is where you show up and that you do that. And then after the speaking comes the doing. This is the action that we must take. This is what you need to do. This is what I'm going to do. Let's partner on this. Let's get this done. And this is the story that you're going to tell after that if we do all these things. That is the process. Love, know, speak, do. And when you do it in that order, then what you've engaged is a process that's going to not only align with human psychology, but it's going to align with true relationships and true desired outcomes. Now, I'm going to say this, and then we're going to get into the 3 rules, and we're going to be done. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make is that you typically have 2 primary camps. You have people that are really, really good at the speaking in the loving and the knowing. These are the people that, oh yeah, they're so great, they're so kind, they're so nice. Every time I'm with them, they always ask questions, right? It's that person, but they have a really hard time speaking and doing, right? They have a really hard time having challenging conversations. They have a really hard time just communicating and presenting, right? Or you're somebody over here that's really good at the speaking and the doing. You're great at pitching. You could talk to anybody all day long about anything, but you really don't shut up and ask questions, right? You just talk and talk and talk, which is why your sales are hindered and you're not converting as high. Is they don't really care. They want to hear you. They want you to ask them about them. So one you do speaking, doing more better than you do the loving and the knowing, and the other they love and know better than the speaking do. So here's a question I have for you. If you believe what I'm saying is going to help you, then I want to encourage you to do a real triage here. Like, where are you weak? Where are you good? And then let's work on these other 2 on how you're weak. That would be a key takeaway I would just suggest for you if you want to use the same process that, by the way, is rooted in the Bible, in case you were wondering. What's the last thing? It's 3 rules, and I'm going to give credit to where credit is due. I learned these 3 rules from Taylor Welch at Traffic and Funnels, and I love it. They're anchored in what I just mentioned and what I just said, living the code and having the process. But here are the 3 rules of sales and how I want to encourage you to show up. And this is how we train all of our advisors on our team. Number 1, your most important job, your purpose, your mission, your number 1 role is to help people make decisions for their best interests, for their reasons, full stop, period, done. That is your role. It's not to profit at people's expense. It's not to close a sale. It's actually to engage with someone as a leader so that their life is better and they make decisions for their reasons so that their life benefits. There you go. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is what is usually in the best interest of people is often, if not always, outside of their comfort zone. And we like to stay comfortable. Rule number 3 is people will fight like crazy to stay within that comfort zone, which is why it's so important that you see yourself and you show up as a leader who engages in ethical selling so that people's lives get better, and that all you do is you use the tools of influence and leadership so that that outcome does happen. You have to be a leader if you're going to have challenging conversations where you see that it's actually the person in their broken thinking or their inaccurate thinking or their wrong limiting beliefs that are holding them back. Essentially, like they've got the emergency brake on in their car and they're trying to get to the destination that they want. You have to be a leader who steps up and says, if I was concerned about any of the ways you're thinking or the beliefs that are undergirding this, would you want me to tell you? If you were driving with the emergency brake on and I knew that it was gonna just kill your car, would you want me to tell you? You've got to be a leader who calls people to step up, to rise up, and to have their allegiance, just like yours is, to that person that they want to become, that story they want to tell, and that place or that desired outcome that they want. We have to get them to attach to that. And that's where leadership comes in, guys. Leadership is just taking someone where they are, where they want to go, the type of person that they are, the place that they are, to the type of person they want to be, the place that they want to be. You are that bridge that takes people from here to here, and you've got to earn the right to be trusted. You have to have the skill set, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the character to get them to that end destination, where all the work happens on your end. But assuming you have all of that, now you can lead, and now you have that permission to lead, and then you get to celebrate when their life becomes better because you lived the code, you engaged in a process that aligned with human psychology and the way the brain's been designed, and then third, you showed up and you knew you were going to operate in those 3 rules. You did it, you had tough conversations, and yet when you get to the other side, they just look at you and say, thanks so much for making my life better. I'm so grateful I met you. The best thing you could possibly hear is, I am so glad we found you. When you hear clients saying, I'm so glad we found you, you know you've won. That's all I got. See you in the next video. See ya. Hey folks, if you like that video, you might want to check out this one right here. And if you're looking for a daily letter where the best and most accurate news is curated daily so you don't have to do it, that could affect you or your clients financially, things like real estate, taxation, crypto, and more, you can subscribe to the daily letter right here, right on Substack. I'll see you in the next video.